Newcastle have gone ahead to be beaten in Germany by Borussia Dortmund by 2 goals to nil. And it has been really a very, very, very bad day for the side of Newcastle. But Borussia Dortmund looks like they've gone ahead, obviously, enlightened their chances. And if at all I'm not mistaken, they're obviously doing great as far as their group is concerned. And they're obviously topping the group. But the group is really overturning for a team that went ahead to obviously top the group after match day 2 when they went ahead to beat PSG by 4 goals, I think, to 1. It's now on the bottom of the table. That is the shocking bit of all this. Newcastle is now placed bottom on top of the table. And today, they've also gone ahead to get a very huge boost by when AC Milan went ahead to beat PSG down in Milan by 2 goals to 1, meaning that everyone in this group can qualify. That is it. When you look at their group, Borussia Dortmund is having 7 points. You get PSG is having 6 points. Milan is having 5 points. And Newcastle is having 4 points. And Newcastle is left with 2 games to play. And which are those 2 games to play? PSG away from home and AC Milan. Sorry, PSG away in France and AC Milan at the St. James's Park. Now, when you look at how everything is going to turn around, they obviously need to see to it that PSG beats Borussia Dortmund. That is it, because PSG has to play Borussia Dortmund. That is it. Then they have to make sure that they beat AC Milan, to go to 7 points. After going to 7 points, then they will obviously have to play PSG, But it looks like they've gone ahead to obviously lose out on this battle of qualifying. Why? I see PSG winning 1 more game. That is it. And when you look at PSG, they have to Borussia Dortmund and AC Milan. I think they can beat both of those teams at home. Oh, no. They're left with Newcastle and Borussia Dortmund. They can beat those 2 teams because they are hosting Newcastle at their stadium. If Newcastle can go ahead and get a shocking win from Paris, that's the only way they can qualify. If at all, they also went ahead to obviously sum it up with a win against the side of the side of AC Milan at their stadium. But as things stand, it's really out of their hands. The best they can fight for is to go to the UEFA Europa League. But this has been coming and coming and coming because they've gone ahead to get very many injuries. When you look at Alexander Isak is out, Sandro Tonali is banned for 10 months. Then Murphy is out. They don't have Hafi Barnes. They don't have Botman. They don't have Barnes, who really got injured in the game of Arsenal. So they're really having a depleted squad. And this all goes back to everyone that was really calling in for the sacking of Erik ten Hag, manager at Man United. No team in the world can keep being prosperous when they are missing their top 4 players. I say to Man United and everyone who was calling in for the sacking of Erik ten Hag that if at all you don't have Varane, you don't have Luke Shaw, you don't have Lisandro Martinez, you don't have Casemiro, your 4 best players, then you are doomed to fail, and it's hard to obviously figure out wins, You just have to go on and be the win pragmatically. But for Newcastle, it's not possible because for them, it's worse. Botman is one of the best central defenders in the Premier League. And he was one of those that made it to the team of the Premier League. And very many people really had him in their teams. He's out injured. They don't have Sandro Tonali. He's suspended. They don't have Alexander Isak, Who else? They don't have Hafi Barnes, and there is another player. They're having like 5 players they are missing in that midfield in their entire team. So that exposes them to losing these games. And I know it's going to be hard for them to really go away at PSG and win these games, although they don't get Happy Bands back, if at all they don't get Botman back. Let me check Newcastle injuries and see when these players are obviously returning. Because if these players don't return early enough, Newcastle is done. That is it. Newcastle is going to be really affected hugely. Now, when you look at Sandro Tonali, for him is ruled out until the end of the season. Jacob Murphy, I want to see the dates. The date of return. He's being assessed. That's what they're telling us. Potential return for Jacob Murphy. That is on the 30th. 30th of January. That is out. He's not going to be able to play the remaining 2 games of Newcastle. Then Dan Burn, he's also expected to return in 2024. That is the 13th of January. He's also out. Happy Bands, 6th January 2024. Oh my God. Elliot Anderson, he's expected to return in December on the 26th of this year. So he's not going to play any game. Steve Butman is expected to return on 10th of December 2023. Will he be able to obviously see himself play the final game? We don't know. Bruno Guimaraes, for him, is not injured. Alexandre Isak is expected to return after the international break. That's a very huge call. Then there is Callum Wilson is also injured. That is really bad. Then Manquillo, no return date. Matt Target, no return date. So the only player that they can obviously have in both games is only and only one that goes by the names of Alexandre Isak. So it's bad news for the side of Newcastle, and they're obviously going to find themselves in a position of really losing out onto the remaining games. And this situation they are into is obviously going to affect them. I've seen very many people laughing at Man United, but if your team gets those injuries, it's not going to survive. I really went ahead to address the same issue when I went ahead to address the same issue. I went ahead to address the same issue when I was talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Udogi is out for 2 games. Romero 3 games. Van der Ven got a hamstring. It might keep him out for like 2 months. Maddison was also injured, so we don't know how long Maddison is going to take without playing the game of football. Those are 4 players out, plus Richarlison. That is not going to leave Spurs the same. So for the remaining games, because they're left with like 8-9 games to play to the January transfer window, they might find themselves in a position of losing out onto those games, because it's obviously going to be hard for them to come in through and really take on where they want to take it on. Now, we are having Borussia Dortmund, and let's see how that starts were. 17 shots by Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle had 10. 8 shots on target by Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle had 5. 45% ball possession by Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle had 55%. 397 passes completed by Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle completed 469. 79% passing accuracy by Borussia Dortmund, and 85% passing accuracy by Newcastle. Then 13 fouls by Borussia Dortmund, 5 fouls by Borussia Dortmund, 0 yellow cards to Borussia Dortmund, 1 to Newcastle, 0 red cards to both sides, 3 offsides to Borussia Dortmund and 1 offside to Newcastle, 7 corners to Borussia Dortmund and 4 corners to Newcastle. So Newcastle is on the bottom of the table, and they're lying there, which is very, very, very ashamed for a team that was obviously leading the table after 2 games played, and they smashed PSG by 4-1. We anticipated that they would have gone ahead to obviously win against Borussia Dortmund, but Dortmund has gone ahead to collect 6 points from them. If at all Newcastle went ahead to get a win at St. James's Park, it would have been a very good call for them to obviously get one win and obviously qualify, because in these group stages, the moment you raise 10 points, you are as good as a team playing into the round of 16. So, but today, we saw to it that Borussia Dortmund left the ball for Newcastle, and what they went for was to hit them onto the break. And they were pressing them very well, and this team couldn't survive. That is the side of Newcastle. Let's go to the other game that's going to be played. Manchester City 3, Young Boys 0. Erling Haaland is going to hit to score a brace, a penalty in the 23rd minute, and another goal in the 51st minute, taking his tally to very many goals. He's going to hit to score into the Champions League. And I think he's the Champions League top scorer. Not so? Let me see. Let me see. He has gone ahead to score 4 goals in the Champions League, and he has 1 assist. That is Erling Haaland. In the Premier League, 11 games, 12 goals scored by this Norwegian international. But what made headlines today was what Didier Drogba went ahead to let him know, that when they are the Ballon d'Or, that when you score your next goal, please go ahead and obviously celebrate like I used to celebrate. And Erling Haaland didn't obviously offend or betray Didier Drogba. He went ahead and obviously celebrated after taking that penalty. And now it's 39 goals in 34 Champions League games for Erling Haaland. And at the Ballon d'Or, Drogba challenged Haaland to celebrate his next goal with his celebration. And here we go tonight. That's when he went ahead to celebrate. You see, this was the celebration of Didier Drogba, Yves Tebile, and he has gone ahead to obviously come out and celebrate like Didier Drogba. That is Erling Haaland for you. And it's obviously great. And Drogba's gone ahead to say, man of your words. Drogba's gone ahead to obviously look at Erling Haaland and say, you've gone ahead to obviously do exactly what I called for, and your celebration has left me in a good mood. That is him for you. And Newcastle's win today has put them to a stretch of 18 wins, consecutive wins. They are really unbeaten in 18 games in the Champions League, meaning that for the entirety of last season, they never lost. You know, they played 13 games, and so far they've gone ahead to play their 4th game. So it shows you that they're obviously trying to do the needful and really get to where they ended the season. And maybe they want to defend the Champions League like Real Madrid did for 3 consecutive seasons under Zinedine Zidane. But I think it's one of those teams that have gone ahead to qualify for the round of 16 so far, and they're obviously doing good. So congratulations to Man City for obviously qualifying for the next round of the Champions League. They've gone ahead to qualify for the next round of the Champions League. Now, when we go to the other fixtures that went ahead to happen, Shakhtar Donetsk has gone ahead to beat Barcelona by 1-0. That is a shock. Lazio has beaten Feyenoord by 1-0. FC Porto has beaten Antwerp by 2-0. Manchester City have beaten Young Boys by 3-0. Milan, that is AC Milan, has gone ahead to beat PSG by 2-1. Atletico Madrid has gone ahead to beat Celtic by 6-0. There was a red card in that game. Then Grevana Vezeda has gone ahead to lose to RB Leipzig by 2-1. Real Sociedad, these are games that are going to be played today. Now, after all that, we are really having some good games of football to be played today. And let me take you through those games and see how everything is obviously panning out. Now, Real Sociedad and Benfica are really starting in tomorrow at 20:45 hours. Napoli Union Berlin are coming in through at 20:45 hours. Copenhagen is hosting Man United in Denmark at 23 hours. RB Salzburg is hosting Inter Milan in Australia at 23 hours. Bayern Munich are hosting Galatasaray, 23 hours. Arsenal are hosting Sevilla at the Emirates, 23 hours. PSV and Lens are playing tomorrow in Netherlands, or today at 23 hours. Real Madrid is hosting Braga after after 20, 22, 59 hours. They're obviously going to be playing at 23 hours. So that's how the games are obviously going to be played tomorrow, but their teams are going to have to qualify for the Champions League, and lots of things are really happening in this beautiful game of football. Champions League football is really going to be back after the international break, and we see to it that more is yet to come. And Yavi Simons has gone ahead to score tonight for RB Salzburg as they went ahead to obviously get their other win. And he's having 3 goal contributions in his first 4 USL games ever. So he plays for RB Leipzig and he's obviously firing in all cylinders. That is good for the Dutch player that everyone is looking at to sign in the summer. And obviously shows you that he's ready to obviously take it to where it deserves to be. So thank you very much for watching through. Smash the like button, comment, and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. So Newcastle, if you talk about them, they're obviously in the mud, if you know what exactly this is meaning. Because in the Premier League, have a match they went ahead to get a controversial win against Arsenal over the weekend. They've gone ahead to lose today by 2-0. And they are obviously going to play Bournemouth over the weekend. And when they return, they have to play Newcastle. After playing Newcastle, they have to pay a visit to PSG. Now, how are they obviously going to play? You don't know. But if at all it was Eddie Howe tonight, I would have gone ahead to park the bus. You know, that stadium is really having what we call a very hostile atmosphere. And the manager really got it wrong. That is Eddie Howe. He would have gone ahead to obviously tell his players, let's park the bus. After parking the bus, then we'll hit this team on the break. After hitting the team on the break, the rest will be history, and that will see us obviously getting to where we want to be. And it was really shocking that Newcastle went ahead to open themselves up, and they lost. And it shows you the naivety of Eddie Howe into the Champions League. The Champions League, it's all about the moments that obviously your team creates and capitalizes onto them and be more clinical. The moment you create chances, all moments, and you are not clinical, then you are doomed. You are doomed in such a competition, because this competition calls in for what we call being clinical 24/7. And for a player in the name of, and the manager names of Eddie Howe, I was going to express lots of things. And I know he's learning on the job, especially when it comes to the Champions League, but his bosses might want more results, though they're obviously losing out on very many players. And that's why you saw to it that they are really wanting to get in Ruben Neves to return to the Premier League on loan from Saudi Arabia, as it is rumored that they're really having a huge problem. To see to it that he comes in through and covers up for Sandro Tonali until when the season comes to an end. So we wait and see whether it's going to be the case, but Newcastle is in wounds. But even another team that's going to play today, Arsenal, is really having some huge wounds, according to me, because if Gabriel Jesus, Odegaard are really doubtful, and Edin Nketiah, the other centre forward that you are left with, also never trained, and it looks like he's really having some injuries, that shows you that Arsenal has gone ahead to see to it that its injury list has gone ahead to increase to 5 players. Now, they had Julian Timber, Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, and now they have Edin Nketiah onto that list. Those are 5 players injured, and it doesn't really leave them in a better state of mind altogether, because it is really very annoying to see to it that every moment goes out to not leave you the same. So thank you very much for obviously watching it through. Tell me your thoughts about all the fixtures and which teams do you think are going to qualify in this group of Newcastle, because Borussia Dortmund is having 7 points. PSG is having 6 points. AC Milan is having 5 points. Newcastle is at the bottom of the table with 4 points. Do you think Newcastle can overturn this? Because it really looks so heavy for them with the number of injuries they're really having as a club. I don't see them obviously going past this and obviously creating memories to their fans that we were there in the Champions League After 2 decades, when we returned, we put up a show and everyone went ahead to appreciate us. But I just see to it that it's obviously not going the way they want it to be for the side of Newcastle. So that is it. Thank you for always being here on this channel. Obviously, you can go into our video section. There's some good videos I'm going to hit to upload there. You can as well enjoy them as we gear up for the coming games today. Arsenal hosting Sevilla, Man United being hosted by Copenhagen, a game that Manchester United needs to win. It's a must win if at all they're to keep themselves into the calculation of obviously going to where they deserve to be as a team. May the living to God bless you abundantly. The Muslims, Barakallahu Fikum. I sign out for now. I think I'm going to bed and I want to wake up early in the morning to come out and serve you with the goals that you guys really think are right for this side of matches, for this side of this channel. So, Rokan Media Football it is. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Late night video, but we sign out. Bye-bye.